Rishi Sunak is tonight facing increasing pressure to hand back Frank Hester's £10 million donation after the businessman made, apparently, racist comments about Diane Abbott, with the Scottish Tories now demanding the Prime Minister carefully reviews the donation. Grief. The round dominated PMQs today. Starmer joined in on the calls to hand back the cash.
How low would he have to sink? What racist, woman-hating threat of violence would he have to make before the Prime Minister plucked up the courage to hand back the £10 million that he's taken from him?
The gentleman apologised genuinely for his comments, and that remorse should be accepted.
But while Starmer was busy giving Sunak a hard time, it's emerged that Labour donor Dale Vince, who's given Starmer's party more than £2 million reportedly, made this outrageous claim last year.
Terrorist attack from Hamas, Palestine defending itself.
I think one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist, right? That's how it works. Look what's happening in Palestine. Millions of people living in an open prison.
Freedom fighters? Hamas? I'm joined now by the former Conservative Minister, Anne Widdecombe. Anne, well, who should hand back the donation first then, Starmer or Sunak?
Neither of them is complete nonsense unless the money itself is corrupt, then there's no reason for them to hand it back. But what I really objected to, and we all saw the snippet of Starmer saying it, was he talked about threats of violence, which presumably was when the donor said that Diane Abbott should be shot. Now, Keir Starmer is of a generation to know very well that that is an expression which our entire generation used, and his, when somebody had done something stupid. Now, I could understand if a 20-year-old said, oh, that's a terrible thing to say. But actually, it was in common parlance, and it means nothing. It's just a metaphor for saying how stupid she is. That's all it is.
And you don't think, then, that either of them should hand that money back? I mean, one apparently is called Hamas, a freedom fighter organisation, and the other one, you know, just stand accused of, well, racist remarks. I mean, you don't think it's, you know, there's a case there to be, well, we don't want this dirty money.
Well, there's nothing dirty about the money unless, as I say, it was corruptly obtained. One has apologised, the other has not, which, and I just think this is yet another artificial fuss. I mean, we've got the NHS in chaos. We've got dreadful education in this country. Our defences are worn down to the bone, and nobody is doing anything about it. And we want to worry about somebody making rude remarks about somebody else.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's a good, useful distraction technique, isn't it, really, to be talking about that a lot of the time and not actually talking about the fact that we haven't given another penny to our defence budget and our NHS is knackered and on its knees, and that we haven't got enough places for kids to go to school, and we're not doing anything about that. I do want to talk to you about Keir Starmer again, because Guardian journalist Owen Jones has the details of a conversation between the Labour leader and Diane Abbott, who twice today asked Starmer to give her the Labour whip back. But it appears he declined to do so. Indeed, Abbott herself has confirmed that this discussion did take place. Anne, should Diane Abbott get the Labour whip back?
Well, look, that's honestly a matter for the Labour Party. She did say something appalling. I mean, this time I don't think you can dismiss it as just some sort of metaphor. I mean, she did say that Jews hadn't suffered racism, and that is appalling. And given the terrible trouble that the Labour Party has at the moment with anti-Semitism, it might send out all the wrong signals if he did restore the whip. But it is a matter for the Labour Party. You know, it's for Starmer to take his decision. And then stand by it. If he's going to take it, stand by it, whatever it may be.
I mean, she is, by the sounds of it, essentially begging for the whip back. She wasn't called in Parliament today, which I know has caused a heck of a lot of controversy. I was wondering whether or not Lindsay Hoyle, after, you know, allegedly doing Keir Starmer a massive favour the other week over the Gaza vote, thought he'd do the Tories a big favour today. But, you know, do you think that Starmer might cave, though? I mean, he's U-turned on pretty much everything else, all right? He keeps saying he's a changed Labour Party. We've just been talking about the fact that Andy McDonald's managed to worm his way back in, and the Labour Party wanted to sweep that under the carpet, by the way. I mean, that was a remarkable exchange that we had with the Labour Party earlier today. People of this show going to them and them not giving us a yes or a no for ages, it being on the parliamentary website, and then before you know it, it's, oh, yeah, we've reviewed it, and now he's back in. I mean, is this a changed Labour Party, seriously? And, you know, I wonder if it...
It's not a change. It's not a changed Labour Party. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, you can just see from the attitude that there has been towards Gaza and, the huge pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas, rather, element in the Labour Party. So I don't think it's a changed Labour Party. I don't think it's worth anybody voting for it who is concerned about anti-Semitism. Now, Diane Abbott has been an MP for several decades, got a long record of service. I'm sure that Keir Starmer will consider that. But at the end of the day, he's got to ask himself, would anybody in the Labour Party endorse those remarks that Diane Abbott made? And if the answer is no, then, that's his.
I worry that you might find out the answer is yes, actually. But speaking when she was suspended in August 2023, Diane Abbott said, these errors arose in an initial draft being sent, but there is no excuse, and I wish to apologise for any anguish caused. Racism takes many forms. It's completely undeniable that Jewish people have suffered its monstrous effects, as have the Irish people, travellers and many others. Now, look, this is something I'm keen to talk to you about. Torrid few days for the Prime Minister. Lee Anderson defected to Reform. Now, he's embroiled in this old donor race row, isn't he? On Monday night, apparently, he was hauled into... This is Rishi Sunak. He was hauled into tense private talks with Tory MPs from the party's all-powerful backbench 1922 committee, who allegedly warned Sunak against a May general election. A senior Tory source says 7 months is a long time in politics. Just imagine if England won the Euros and Team GB got a load of golds at the Olympics. Well, I mean, that's ridiculous, by the way. But, I mean, relying on Gareth Southgate for your premiership, I mean, pun intended, is a ridiculous thing to do. Should there be a May election, Anne?
I don't believe there will be a May election. I mean, I say bring it on as soon as possible, but I don't believe there will be one. For the very simple reason that, first of all, if you know you're going to lose, and Sunak does, you don't hand government to the opposition. You string it out. Secondly, of course, there is this sort of political McCorberism. And you think, well, if you don't have it till the last minute, something might turn up, or even something will turn up. But if they're relying on victory in the Euros for victory in a general election, then all I can say is they're even, further than I thought before, in a just completely chaotic spin with no sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that Rishi Sunak might lose on penalties would be very, very adept, wouldn't it? If I was him as well, I would absolutely... I mean, I'm not saying he should do this, but I would absolutely wait until January. You've got to look at it. Prime Minister from 2022 to 2025, it looks better on the tombstone, frankly, than anything else. Being completely selfish.